Why the Golden State Warriors are acquiring Javale Mcgee. Now, as you all know, the Golden State Warriors have been looking to sign that last final spot for this Warriors roster, and it does seem that there's been a lot of rumor that Javale Mcgee could be that player. Now, in today's video, we're going to be going through 5 reasons why Javale Mcgee is perfect for the Golden State Warriors, and how he can help this Golden State Warriors win another NBA championship next season. So make sure to like this video, and guys, 92% of you are still not subscribed to the channel, so it'd mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel, hit that red button down below. The first is that Javale Mcgee can provide inside scoring and also can be a true center for this Golden State Warriors team. Now, as you all know, Javale Mcgee stands at 7 foot 270 pounds and is still 35 years of age. Now, if you guys don't know, Javale Mcgee at 7 foot would actually make him the tallest Golden State Warrior. As you know, last season Golden State Warriors had a pretty smallish lineup where Kevon Looney was the tallest player at 6'10", and I do believe that they did struggle quite a lot against the Los Angeles Lakers due to the fact that Anthony Davis was a bit too tall to actually defend, and because of those reasons, that's one of the reasons why they did end up losing that series against the Lakers. So I do believe they need to get someone that is able to be 7 foot and can guard people 7 foot and above, especially with players getting bigger each and every single day coming into the league. Now, on top of this, Javale Mcgee, although he is just tall, he can still provide a lot of inside scoring, which is one of his greatest advantages. Last season, he didn't play a lot of minutes, but he was still able to average 4.4 points, but averaged a 65% of field goal percentage. So I think this is super important to actually understand, because even though he wasn't taking that many shots, and even though he only was getting around 9 minutes of game time, he was able to shoot at a very efficient rate. I do believe if Javale Mcgee was given the right amount of minutes, we can see him average at least 10 to 12 points per game, and we did see that especially in 2018-2019 when he played for the Los Angeles Lakers, where he actually averaged 12 points that season. So if Javale Mcgee is given the right opportunity, he can definitely score in a bunch, and I think he can definitely get the job done, especially playing for this Golden State Warriors team. They definitely need a big man, someone who's 7 foot or above, and Javale Mcgee can definitely provide that height and still do it at the age of 35. I think that's something that is so important. People do think Javale is getting older as the days go by, but I do believe if we look at the way he plays, he's still very athletic, he can still get the job done, and I think that is super important when it comes to him playing for the Warriors, not only next season, but for the next couple of seasons as well. The second is Javale Mcgee can provide that extra rebounding that the Golden State Warriors desperately need. Now, as you all know, the Warriors last season, although did a pretty good job, despite the fact a lot of people thought they were going to do worse, they were very poor on the rebounding side of things, and I think this is something that they definitely needed to improve on. If we look at the Golden State Warriors last season, when we look at the team rankings, they actually ranked 15th in rebounds allowed, so are allowing quite a lot of rebounds, and ranked 8th in rebounds in total as well. Now, this may sound pretty good. They are above the 50% mark when it comes to a better half of the teams. However, if we look at the season before that, where they did end up winning the championship, they actually did rank top 5 in both categories, rebounds by opponents and also, rebounds themselves as well. So I do believe they have seen a huge dip due to the fact that they did lose a lot of players such as Otto Porter Jr. and quite a few. So I do believe there is definitely some rebounding improvements that the Warriors need to make in next season, and Javale Mcgee can definitely be that guy. If we look at Javale Mcgee last season, he did only average 2.5 rebounds. However, like I mentioned, guys, he was only getting around 8 minutes of game time. But if we look at the season before, where he was getting a proper 15 minutes, which is what I would expect when it comes to the amount of minutes that someone like Javale Mcgee can get, he was getting 6.7 rebounds in only 15 minutes of game time. So I think that is honestly huge, guys. It definitely does show he's a great rebounder, and on top of that, he still has the athleticism at 35. On top of this, what I think makes him very special is due to the fact he's very good at positioning on rebounds, and his athleticism is still there, which is very surprising even at his age. 7 foot 270 pounds I think also does help, and he has a very long wingspan that can have him grab boards whenever, and I think that really translates into just other things such as playing better defense, especially when it comes to guarding the paint. What makes him a great defender is due to his long wingspan, he's able to get a contest on a lot of different shots, and this can benefit the Warriors in a lot of different ways. The third is that Javale Mcgee has championship championship DNA. And I think this is probably one of the most important things, especially signing someone like Javale, and why a lot of NBA fans and especially Warriors fans do want to see Javale Mcgee in a Golden State Warriors uniform again. Now, as you all know, when it comes to Javale, he did play with the Golden State Warriors early on in his career, but I think now, after winning a couple of championships, he can definitely provide a lot for this Warriors team, especially with the roster that they do have now. If we look at some of the championships that they did win, especially the most prominent one with the Los Angeles Lakers, I think he did a fantastic job and played a huge role when it came to him actually providing a lot for the team with that Lakers team and helping them win an NBA championship. So I do believe championship in DNA is so important, and we do see a bit of a trend when it comes to Warriors and the players that they have been getting. A trade for Chris Paul, trading from Jordan Poole to Chris Paul, who has a lot more championship or also even playoff experience, and Jordan Poole has definitely seen a huge boost in the morale and also when it comes to what the Warriors are trying to do. On top of that, you're getting a 3-time NBA champ with Javale Mcgee, who's played with a lot of different teams and have worked on a lot of different systems. So I do believe Javale can do a lot for this team and can do a lot as well back playing for the Golden State Warriors. Javale also even said in a recent interview that one of his favorite places to actually play for was the Golden State Warriors, and I think the Warriors would like to have him back, and they can have him back at a pretty cheap price. I think Javale Mcgee, if given the right opportunity, can still get quite a lot of minutes for this Warriors team. I think that is something that is super important. He can definitely teach the younger guys such as Jonathan Kuminga, who seems like it will be staying with the team. Also other younger guys that are coming into the league such as Trace Jackson Davis, and now you also have Moses Moody, who are all still very young, and he can definitely teach them a thing or two, not only just about playing basketball but also being a championship type player and have a lot of playoff experience. So I do believe the second unit, adding Javale Mcgee, would honestly build up even more, and it would just help them in the long run due to the fact that they have a lot of guys now with Chris Paul and now Dario Saric, and then add Javale Mcgee to the mix, and now you have a very good and deep second unit. The fourth is that Javale Mcgee can be the shot blocker that the Golden State Warriors desperately need. Now, as you all know, Javale Mcgee, 7 foot, like I mentioned before, and 270 pounds, and also has a very long wingspan, which makes him a great shot blocker. Now, if we look at his most recent season, he was only averaging 0.6, but if you look at the most proper season where he was getting at least 10 plus minutes a game, he was averaging 1.1 blocks, which was fantastic to see. Now, if you actually did calculate that 2 per 36 minutes, he would have been averaging 2.5 blocks, which would be great, and I do believe, if given the right amount of minutes, can provide a lot for this team. One of the reasons why the Warriors need this is that last season they actually ranked 25th in blocks. Okay, so they ranked in the bottom 5 when it came to blocks, and I do believe one of the reasons for that is due to the lack of height that they did have last season. Now, 6'10" is still pretty tall, especially for someone like Kevon Looney, and do not get me wrong, Kevon Looney did a fantastic job last season, but he's not really much of a shot blocker. He can't get up when it comes to getting a very high vertical and blocking those shots, and I think someone like Javale Mcgee can definitely do that. Javale Mcgee at his height has a very high vertical, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's such a great shot blocker, and I do believe he will help this Warriors team out, even if it's just 1 or 2 blocks per game. If we look at Kevon Looney, who was actually the leading shot blocker, he wasn't averaging quite a lot than we expected. He actually only averaged 0.8 blocks while also, averaging around 25 minutes per game. So pretty much Javale Mcgee in 15 minutes was still able to be the greatest shot blocker if he joined this Warriors team, as the highest shot blocker was Kevon Looney, Draymond, and Andrew Wiggins, all at 0.8. So, I do believe Javale Mcgee can definitely provide a lot, and when it just comes to blocking, obviously that is just a stat, but if you look at what he's capable of doing when it comes to contesting shots in the paint, causing problems when it comes to players taking different types of shots due to his very high contest rate, I do believe Javale can definitely help a lot on defense, and that is definitely something that the Warriors need. The fifth is that the Warriors wouldn't have to trade much in order to get Javale Mcgee. Now, as you all know, Javale Mcgee is still currently with the Dallas Mavericks. However, he has been mentioned that he would be open to a trade if the opportunity is there. Like I mentioned before, Javale Mcgee is not getting quite a lot of game time in the Dallas Mavericks uniform, where he only averaged 8 minutes per game last season, and I do believe Javale definitely wants a bigger role and to help a team that has a chance at winning an NBA championship, and Warriors definitely wouldn't have to give up quite a lot, as his salary is only at $5 million. Now, it is pretty hard to say what the Warriors would give up in order to get Javale, as I think even though Jonathan Kuminga is on the trading block, if they did trade Kuminga, I feel the Warriors would expect a little bit more. Maybe even just a couple of draft picks could actually get Javale Mcgee. I think that's why this would be a very good trade. There's a lot of value we can get from Javale Mcgee, and we wouldn't have to give up too much, as the Dallas Mavericks don't seem as highly valuable since they don't play him quite a lot. So I think the Warriors could get away with getting a couple of draft picks together and trading him for JaVale, especially due to the fact that JaVale still has a contract until the 2024-2025 season. So they still got a couple of few years left when it comes to the JaVale McGee's contract, and I think that is probably the best thing to do, especially since Steph Curry is playing at his peak and they need to win a championship right now as much as they can. I do believe this is probably the last missing piece that the Golden State Warriors definitely need in order to complete their roster. It seems that Jonathan Kuminga is going to be staying, and even though Jonathan Kuminga does play the power forward, I think if a trade in order to get JaVale McGee was going to happen without losing any players, it would actually move Jonathan Kuminga back to his natural position of small forward, which could have a very, very big second unit of Dario Saric and JaVale McGee running that power forward and center position. Now, as you all know, JaMychal Green isn't currently a part of this Golden State Warriors team. It's still up in the air whether he will get re-signed, but if Jonathan Kuminga actually moves into small forward, then you can move JaVale McGee into the power forward and Dario Saric into the center, or vice versa, and now, you know, you don't really need to sign JaMychal Green, and instead you got another great big man in JaVale McGee. So there's a lot of benefits to getting someone like McGee in the team.